Dinner for shoes, please.
Hello and welcome to an episode of Dinner for Shoes. It's been some time. A lot has unfolded, including a makeover of our set. Obviously not everything is made over, but a lot is. Let me just start by saying I love that this dress has like a little sash because I'm wearing a mini dress, and as I've learned in past episodes, you can see at my skirt at times. Even if I'm wearing underwear, I understand. Suggestive, whatever. So Here we go. It's a beautiful white dress because, spoiler, can't keep... Okay, don't be that alarmed. Spoiler, can't keep it in. I am engaged. Nick and I got engaged. I didn't get engaged to the cats. But I do want to talk a little bit about how I just referenced that things are changing around here. We're going to be talking about Snipping Turtle today, who JC is the founder and the creator of Snipping Turtle. She is an incredible artist, and she created this picture of Trish and Kit using cutout paper. That's how she makes her art. It's incredible, hence the name Snipping Turtle. And I'm going to talk a little bit about her in a second, but I'm obsessed with this. We're going to keep it at the Dinner for Shoes set because JC knew that my favorite food was sushi. So we have Kit and Trish eating sushi. They're actually over here sleeping because we're recording this in the morning. And then we have this new table runner, which has olive branches on it because Nick and I got engaged right near an olive tree. So I'm going to get into all of that. But this episode really focuses on like what I wore and the fashion in the south of France, what I wore for my engagement, my 10-day long engagement in the south of France, including, if you want to include the plane, then there's, like 2 extra days there. So 12 days. And I'm going to talk about some of the outfits that I maybe had planned because everyone is asking me, like, did you know that you were getting engaged? And the fact of the matter is, like, Nick and I are very open, real people. We talk to each other about shit. So we had talked about it, and I had maybe a feeling, but I was shocked when he did it. I had no idea. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what I was wearing. You'll see some of the engagement pictures because he was so kind to hire a photographer who was incredible. She met us there at the spot completely. I had no idea. I didn't see her. And yeah, we're going to get into it and I'll talk about that outfit. But let's first start with the outfit behind the shoes so I can talk about, I'm wearing a white dress for obvious reasons, but just so I can talk about this, I will remove the shoes and then we'll get into Snipping Turtle. And I'll talk about a really fun promo that we've got going on with JC's company, Snipping Turtle. So, okay, the outfit behind the shoes. Now, I tend to do this when I go away on trips. I've done the Greece episode, I've done the Croatia episode, I've probably done other episodes where I don't wear a look on my trip that I was planning on wearing. And so then I want to wear it to record the episode. I did wear these shoes. Actually, the night after I got engaged, I wore them with a really cute white Zara halter neck dress for a very fancy dinner at Jan in Nice, where there's literally a cheese room. I'll get there. But if you have the chance to go to Nice, check out that restaurant. And these are Steve Madden shoes. And I am a diehard Steve Madden fan through and through, simply because of the comfort. Of course, the price point is great too, but I have horrible feet. I have runner's feet. I have bunions. I have blisters. Steve Madden is the most comfortable, and I like that they make like all of their shoes at varying heights, and I really like these in particular. I'm actually going to tell you the name of them. These are the Steve Madden Locke heels, and I got them for the trip. And I got them because I needed a gold strappy sandal and I didn't have that. And I was a little bit hesitant actually because the colorway is champagne. And I was like, is that going to be gold enough to match with like gold jewelry? And I'm very, very happy to say that they kind of like toe the line between gold and silver. But when you're wearing them with gold, they look gold. And when you're wearing them with silver, they look silver. So this is like a magic shoe. I'm obsessed with them. And yeah, they're very comfortable, of course. I like that the toe strap basically wraps around your heel in the back, so they lock you in with support. I really, really love these. And what more I will say about them is that this Bottega bag, I wish I could say like, oh, I bought it for myself in France, but I didn't. I rented it from Vivrelle. And if you've watched my episodes before, you know how much I love Vivrelle and, sites that let you rent resale bags. Fashionphile lets you purchase them. And this is the Bottega Veneta padded cassette bag. It comes with a crossbody strap. It was my bag of the trip. I wore it everywhere. Very important to, keep your bag on you when you're traveling. And I like that it's the crossbody, but then you can also wear it as a clutch. And I will say, I was expecting it to be more of a cream. However, it's got this like slight pale yellow tint to it, which I didn't know if I was going to like, but with white, it makes your whites pop more. So that's just, if you're thinking about getting the Bottega padded cassette bag, something to consider. Like, I now consider this bag like potentially a must-have. I absolutely love the color. I think it's great. I just love how comfortable the padded cassette is. Like, I feel like I could hug it like a pillow. I should have slept with it on the plane. Whatever. It's a great bag. And my point is that I was testing out Vivrelle's new Complete the Look feature, which allows you to rent a bag, and then at checkout, it will suggest items from Forward and Revolve that complement your look. And it works really well. And I have to say that I did it with this outfit. So this dress is by Lioness and it's from Revolve. And also the Steve Madden shoes are from Revolve. This dress is the Martini mini dress, which I just love because I feel like this kind of like, it emulates the shape of my engagement ring, which we'll get to, but it also kind of like suggests martini in some weird way. I don't know. Maybe like the shape of an olive in your martini or whatever. Anyway, so I basically landed upon, when I was going to check out this bag, a gold outfit. And I was like, gold would look really good with this bag. So then I let that inspire me and I selected my Lioness mini dress and the Steve Madden heels. So that is the outfit behind the shoes. That is suggestive that you should check out Vivrelle's Complete the Look feature. And yeah, okay, let's quickly talk about Snipping Turtle. So I want to talk a little bit about what the brand is, even though I alluded to it before, and then let you know all about the discount code that JC is offering Dinner for Shoes listeners this episode. So JC is the founder. The brand, Snipping Turtle, is a Pacific Northwest based brand. JC's an artist, and she creates whimsical animal-themed wall art using hand-cut and glued paper, which is how this was created. She actually gave me prints in different sizes of this. Guys, this is you. This is you. And then, of course, she gave me the framed one, which just makes for a perfect addition to our set. There's a lot of art in France. That's going to be my connection here. I think that the reason why this Snipping Turtle feature makes sense for this episode is just because there was so much actually really avant-garde, like surprising art in France. And I'm going to get to where we saw some of that. And this just kind of reminds me of like experimental art, right? And so this project, her brand was basically inspired by childhood experiences in nature. Her work reflects a deep love of wildlife. We love animals. She loves animals. So there's that connection. And basically all of her work is like a colorful collage. They are designed to spark curiosity, particularly in children, because JC believes that like the art that we see when we're children really shapes the way we see life when we grow up. And I completely agree with that. And basically everything speaks to her appreciation for the planet. Each piece is meant to brighten spaces. I think this is doing a good job. Also, it's making me crave sushi, but when am I not craving sushi? Yeah. She is basically going to offer our listeners 20% off anything in her cat collection specifically, because cats, why not else? Using the code DFS20, all caps, no spaces. This is valid through the end of June. So thank you, JC. We literally love that. We love you. And now I'm going to talk about getting engaged in France because it happened at the beginning of the trip. All the things I wore. I'm going to touch a little bit on the fashion in France in general and how when I went from city to city, I also did a little bit of Italy. I noticed a difference. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But this episode is definitely becoming like an I got engaged, and we'll talk a little bit about the ring and everything like that. So, okay. So we're set up. And then also, of course, I'm going to eat something from France. I might do that when I'm like halfway through because I feel like I'm going to be hungry and thirsty and I'm going to make myself a latte the way they make iced lattes in France. Okay. Which left me craving American lattes, which is so American of me and ridiculous. But anyway, Nick did a great job on my engagement ring. I am obsessed with it. It is very me. As to whether or not I like designed it myself, I did not. He designed it with Manhasset Jewelers. Huge credit to them and to Jack at Manhasset Jewelers because apparently Nick had very many visions for this ring and it is a little bit of a different ring, right? It's unique. And I think for a jeweler who was like sourcing a stone and then trying to figure out how am I going to make this design come to life, there were a lot of questions. And Nick basically showed me his like photo album of all of his inspiration behind the engagement ring. And he's so funny. He had like AI creating ideas. He experimented with emeralds. Much to his dismay, he learned that emerald is actually a very, very delicate stone. And I am maybe a little bit messy, sloppy, as we all know. I might not be the best person to have an emerald engagement ring, something that you wear every single fucking day. So, I mean, just look at how stunning this ring is. This is a marquee ring. And then obviously it's set in this wavy gold bezel. And basically there are these beautiful windows like underneath the diamond. And Nick was explaining to me, and by the way, I don't know a lot about jewelry and diamonds, even though of course we've had many jewelers on the podcast and I have learned so much from them, specifically like Dana Rebecca, and we talked to Ring Concierge. So I have learned a lot along the way, but Nick is now a fucking pro. He learned so much that he was showing me about rings in general. And the way this is set is meant to make the light shine through from the bottom of the ring so that it sparkles more. What I didn't know, I'm a gold jewelry person. I don't give a shit about this. If you have a platinum ring, platinum metal and a diamond, your ring is going to shine more than if your diamond is set in gold. And I don't give a shit. I think this shines just fine, but the windows on the bottom were built in for that reason. And I did get really pretty gold nails from Nailed It in Hoboken. I know I talked about them before, but I went to Kimberly, who is like specializing in this gold design right now. And I saw it on Instagram. And obviously I knew I wanted a gold ring. Did I think maybe I could get engaged in France? I thought maybe it was a possibility. So I went to her for this design. I really loved it. It looked stunning with the ring. I still have it. The gold chrome is kind of like fading off of it, but I like refused, it's like special to me now. So I refuse to like go get another manicure. I'm going to have to at some point, but maybe in a year. So anyway, I did try to style up my engagement ring with a bunch of different jewelry that I bought on the trip. I was high when I was packing. I had taken half a gummy and I literally spent like 48 minutes packaging up my entire jewelry box into my travel jewelry kit. And every single day before we went out and every single night, I would sit at this little dresser in Nick's dad's apartment in Roquebrune where we were staying in France, and I would accessorize around my ring. And this is a little glimpse of what that looked like. I had 4 pairs of sunglasses, too much that you actually need for 10 days in France, for sure, but I'm me. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the engagement and what I ended up wearing, and how I really had no idea that I was getting engaged on that night. So we got to France and we were a little bit jet lagged. I did sleep on the plane, but it was rough. And I feel like it was like 7 o'clock. Yeah, like probably around 7 o'clock. And Nick was like, let's go up to Roquebrune. I want to show you like the old town, because a lot of European towns, if you have traveled there, you know that they have like really pretty old towns where they preserve all the cobblestone, shops and restaurants built into these like stunning buildings where the architecture will just blow you away. And I was so excited to see that part of Roquebrune because it was very special to Nick. I knew that there was a coffee shop up there that he used to go to when he stayed for over a month. I think it was like almost 2 months during COVID when he was in France at his dad's apartment. So I was excited, but I didn't think that he was going to propose the first night. It was a little bit of a gloomy day. I thought maybe there was this restaurant that I wanted to go to, which we'll get to, Les Plongeurs in Nice. And I thought maybe, he would do it there. I had no idea. So I wore what I thought was my least favorite dress because I loved all the outfits I brought. When I say least favorite, I don't mean that I didn't love it. I absolutely loved it. But it was this stunning cider, floral embroidered sundress. And and it has like a drop waist, really pretty, kind of like that full skirt silhouette that's very in style. I wore it with my Nina shoes, bobble bar floral earrings, which I've worn on the podcast before, and the stunning Cult Gaia bag that Nick recently got for me for my birthday, which is brown. It's a top handle and it has a gold branch handle that kind of also mimics like my ring. It's kind of just avant-garde and cool, which is very much my sense of style. So I wore that. We were walking up to where I thought we were going to eat. He didn't tell me like, oh, we're going to eat at this restaurant. He was just like, let's go see it and we'll figure out, we'll eat at one of the restaurants up there. And we were overlooking, I was like filming a video at how beautiful it was. You could see out into the water. You could see Monaco, which is part of the trip that we were going to. He's like, oh, that's Monaco. When we go to Monaco, we'll be there. So I'm like filming and all of a sudden he like turns to me and it was really sweet. And of course, like proposed. And then there was a photographer who was standing there. And I had no idea that she was there. Like Nick apparently had waved to her. But I didn't see any of that. So I just thought that that was really, really special. And her name, if you are ever in France and looking for a photographer, is Laurie Cornelian. She is a great wedding photographer. If you follow me on Instagram, I tagged her in the pictures. So definitely check her out. She captures many different engagements. We did a whole shoot with her. I ended up loving my outfit. I thought it was so romantic, very like Roquebrune Old Town. And because that place is so special to Nick, I feel like it went with the vibe, which, as you know, like Dinner for Shoes, we're all about creating a vibe with our clothes, with our atmosphere. So I felt really good that I ended up wearing that dress. I felt really good that I was so surprised. The only thing I will say is that my hair was shit because I had just gotten it colored and it was my first wash. And the water might be a little bit rough in France, I will say, because my hair wasn't doing so well when we were there. But I don't care. I thought it was great. And obviously I loved it and we lived happily ever after. But no, because that place and that moment was so special to Nick, maybe we'll get married somewhere that's special to me and both of us together. Now, obviously Roquebrune is so special to us. And there was an olive tree on site by the restaurant that we ate at Le Grotté, which I love, The Little Mermaid, and I love mermaids and it reminds me of grotto, just that word. So I think that was special. It was like built into a cliff. So pretty. And we sat underneath the olive tree and now I like have this idea that I want to get an olive tree tattooed onto my body. Who knows if it will happen, but hence the reason why when we were in Mentone, which borders Roquebrune, we got this table runner with the stunning olives stitched on. So there's that. The next day, the surprises continued and Nick basically told me we were at the coffee shop in Roquebrune, his favorite one. And he basically was like, get dressed, pack your bags, we're going to Nice. And we had plans in Nice. He had booked a hotel. I wore this like really cool polka dot shirt with this like nice necktie scarf and white jeans. The top was from Cider, the jeans were from AYR, and my Zara platforms that actually were really comfortable and I ended up wearing a lot. And I wore the Bottega bag with it for some sightseeing around Nice. And then when I was explaining about this, I kind of alluded to it before, but there's this great Zara halter dress that I had rented for the trip and it was white and I wore that with the gold sandals and my Cult Gaia bag for dinner at Jan where, oh my God, it is so cool. You go across the street at the end of this South African cuisine inspired experience and you get to sample a full cheese room from this like sister restaurant called Maria. It was really, really special. And I even got a cookbook from Jan as like an engagement gift because they knew that we were celebrating. The next day, Nick did take me to Les Plongeurs on Nice's waters, beautiful waters. I wore this like Zara halter swimsuit actually as a bodysuit with this black skirt because it's on the water. I wore my Gucci sandals that I sourced by Anna a while ago and this Anthropologie bag that I love to carry to the beach. And my Ultra eyewear sunglasses, my big ones, which I really like too. And I thought that that just like went with the environment very well. So that was really special. And getting to eat at Les Plongeurs, I would say is like one of my most treasured culinary experiences from France because the truffle rigatoni, oh my God, that was insane. It was so good. So I definitely had a great time doing that. I'm seeing what else. Then we just did some sightseeing around Nice. The next day we went back to Mentone and I wore this like yellow Lulu's dress that I was really looking forward to wearing. It's actually quite heavy, but I wore it with my Cult Gaia bag. I was wearing that bag around all the time because it matched the engagement ring so well, and Nick got it for me for my birthday. And then I wore like a pair of the Zara espadrille platforms with that, and we went out to dinner, and Nick showed me like different parts of Mentone. I fell in love with Mentone, looking at the colored houses and how they preserve those buildings every morning on like my walk/run was really incredible. And yeah, it's a very romantic city, I will say. So I tried to wear some color there. Throughout the trip, producer Megan kept telling me to try to do like really cool ring videos where like I would turn my hand over and the ring would capture the light just right and it would sparkle. And I was getting so frustrated because I was like, I need a tutorial. And then my best friend Isabel was like, here's a tutorial. Here's how you do this. And I kept trying, but I only had 2 swimsuits. Actually, we didn't do too many beach days. And when we went to Cannes was the first time I debuted this layered Abercrombie & Fitch swimsuit that I love. Black and white, really chic. I wore it with my Oscar de la Renta vintage headscarf and like shell hoop earrings and my necklace, my nameplate necklace that says Nick, just as a cute little nod to us getting engaged. And we went to Annex Beach Club in Cannes. It was still the Cannes Film Festival, so we got to see all of that, which was just really cool. And I wore a little white cider dress. I went shopping at Cider before, if you couldn't tell. That was kind of like baby doll style with like the floofy bubble skirt, like a bubble skirt. It was really bohemian that day. And I wore my Jonak really great sandals. They are a platform. They are nude. I think they're really pretty. And they kind of went with this like Zara embroidered bag that I borrowed as well. So I wore that. It was a very beachy bohemian look for Cannes. But it was cool. It was cool getting to see the Cannes red carpet. Honestly, there's a lot of really good shopping in Cannes, which I didn't realize. It's pretty high end over there. So we got to walk into some of the shops. That was really nice. When we went to Annex Beach Club, that was like the last thing we did, and it got pretty crazy over there. That was really like our first beach day, honestly. Okay, before we do Saint-Tropez, I think I might grab our crepe and I'm gonna make a quick latte the way they do it in France. Be right back. Okay, so I needed a little break and I was really excited to try my crepe from La Bouche, which is it's a French cafe in Hoboken. We've been there before. It's actually really, really good. But I've never had a crepe from them, and I'm clearly hungry. The reason why I wanted to try their crepe is because there was a place in France, in Mentone, called La Petite Cave, and they have both savory and sweet crepes. And we went there for like dessert and had the best banana Nutella crepe. And I didn't get a chance to have a savory crepe there, which is why I wanted to try a savory crepe. Where are my utensils? Trish, what'd you do with them? What'd you do with the utensils, Trish? What'd you do with them? What'd you do? Mommy, where'd they go? We're gonna take this little spatula, let me just pull my skirt down, and shovel the crepe onto the plate. But yes, so I didn't get a chance to have a savory crepe at La Petite Cave. So I'm really excited to try this one, which has mushrooms and ham and cheese and red pepper, and it's from La Bouche. And the latte situation. Okay, so I am just such a fucking American, and I was craving like a huge, big, iced fucking latte the whole time we were there. And what they do in France, and I won't say I hated it, we found a lot of places that actually have oat milk, but they kind of just like pour the oat milk and then they pour the espresso on top even when it's hot, and you're just kind of like stuck with that melting, which I don't love. So you know what? That's the only part of coming home that I actually was happy about, is getting my big fat fucking iced oat milk latte, which I actually got in, Trish smile, in the airport as soon as we arrived. That's you. That's you. Trish, this is you. Look, that's you eating sushi. That is you eating sushi. You eating sushi is right here. Kit, come over here. Come up. First, let me try this. Okay, I needed this. I really haven't had caffeine yet. It is kind of good this way when the espresso goes from the top and just melts into the oat milk. I don't hate it. We talked about Cannes. Now we're at Saint-Tropez, which is where the party starts, which is why I needed my energy. Let's try this crepe. It actually looks really, really good. And there's like a lot of stuff in here. Also, for anyone who's like judging my cutting skills, go on my Instagram and look at how I sliced my thumb open and how it literally doesn't work. Back in like 2022, I think that is. And you won't at me anymore because I literally can't hold a fork. I have no excuse for how gross I eat or for talking with my mouth full. That is really fucking good. Wow. That is a great crepe. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry, I just spit. This is giving me life. Saint-Tropez. I loved Saint-Tropez. And I want to talk about Saint-Tropez specifically because the fashion there, it's so like, Nick and I were calling it like the European Hamptons. It's boho, but it's also like just free-spirited. And I think that was like overall, I want to say that about like the one thing that I really realized about people in France. No matter what city you're in, no matter what vibe that city is giving off, everyone is just like they aren't concerned with their clothes. I think that's why, like, I think being in the south of France, I kind of realized that that's what people mean by like French girl dressing. It's like they aren't concerned. They just put it on because they like it. They have clothes they like. They wear the clothes and they're nonchalant about it. Nothing feels overly considered. No matter where you go, nothing felt overly considered. And of course, there's so much high fashion. There's a Louis Vuitton cafe that we went to in Saint-Tropez. And I also shopped at Jacques Mousse because they're a French brand. I was like, I gotta go in here. And there's a Dior cafe. It was actually closed for the season, but the Louis Vuitton cafe was really cool. Literally everything had the Louis Vuitton monogram on it. The drink I got was so good. It had basil oil in it. It was really, really amazing just to see it. And that afternoon, Nick and I actually had a reservation at Bagatelle, which we've been to the Bagatelle in Tulum, and we were just like, let's like go party and celebrate. And we spent way too much money partying at Bagatelle, but it was like our one day of serious partying, and probably drinking a little bit too much, but we deserved it. And we got a bottle of champagne and we celebrated. And it was really cool to see the environment there. And I really liked that during the day I wore this Zara paisley set, sleeveless vest with a mini skirt. Again, same Bottega bag. I had my gold ultra eyewear sunglasses on, which I was really glad I did. I felt like my outfit just screamed Saint-Tropez. Like if there was going to be one look to save for Saint-Tropez walking around during the day, it would be that. So I loved that. And then I wore the same Abercrombie & Fitch like layered bikini look at the actual club. We had a lot of fun. And then we also ended up we did like a lot of little day trips. We rented a car and we went to Antibes, and I really, really love this white H&M linen dress that is kind of a full circle moment for me because I used to own it. Well, of course I used to own it. I owned it a very long time ago, and there are pictures of me and my sister on the beach in Hilton Head Island, which is my favorite place in the world. And she's like carrying me and holding me, and I'm wearing it, and it reminds me of that moment. So I wanted to bring it on this special trip, and I wore that again, Bottega bag, ultra eyewear sunglasses. I wore pearl drop earrings and my espadrilles, an anklet because Nick loves it when I wear an anklet. And we ate at one of my favorite restaurants in France. This was one of my favorites. Yes, Les Plongeurs and the truffle pasta was really good, but this restaurant, Baba, I love the aesthetic here. And we had literally like the best salad. This is a picture of me with the best salad I have ever eaten. It was just a really good meal. So we just like walked around Antibes a bit. We like explored it. We also went to the Monaco Grand Prix, which like, okay, that was like another day of maybe some partying. Because we actually got invited on to RD Grand Prix, which is a yacht that was debuting at Monaco this year, partnering with Rose Day. They invited us on. We literally did caviar bumps. This was such an incredible experience. The boat was parked at the perfect spot. You can see like a glimpse of the track. Nick and I are both into F1. You know that if you watch my F1 episode, you can go back and watch it and learn all about how I got into F1. So this was really, really cool. I wore this Abercrombie & Fitch mini dress. It has the necktie, shoes off on the boat, but I did wear my Gucci sandals. I wore my Miu Miu sunglasses, the Bottega bag. It was just so easy. My vintage gold Gucci watch from my grandma, because it just felt very Monaco. And we got to eat incredible food. It was just a really, really incredible experience. And even though we didn't have a direct view of obviously like the track, we saw a little bit of it from off the end of the boat, and then they had huge screens set up for us. So RD Yacht, RD Grand Prix, check them out. The boat is amazing. The night before the Monaco Grand Prix, we literally saw from the apartment in Roquebrune all of the yachts that had come in for the Grand Prix. And it was a huge Grand Prix. Like, I thought Miami was big. Monaco is the biggest for sure. We got some merch, which maybe I'll wear in a different episode because I really love the little t-shirt that I got from the Monaco Grand Prix. So that was really great. I liked my outfit. I thought keeping it black and classy was perfect. And then we also went to Saint-Jean and Ez, which are two smaller towns that I highly recommend you do. Ez is like, they've got an old town village. Incredible. When I'm talking about like the shops and the restaurants built into the old cobblestone that was preserved, it is amazing. The greenery and the nature, the art in Ez. Oh my God. That is why like Snipping Turtle kind of reminds me of Ez. There is so much art. There are so many galleries as you're walking around the village. I was like blown away. I had no idea that there was that much packed into this like old town village. So it was really rich and beautiful. And it was a little bit cooler that day. So I wore this like heavier skirt. It was a maxi skirt by age. And it came with this like really cool white top that I've actually worn for a previous episode and a white belt. And the hardware on the belt also mimics the shape of my engagement ring. So everything was just really feeling perfect. I wore that with my Colt Gaia bag, my Fendi sunglasses, and the Jonak sandals I was talking about that are just so good for traveling and sightseeing. We got really good taffy that I had brought back for my dad because there were some really good nuts packed in and he loves stuff like that. We got a scent made at Fragnard that we both love and we're going to wear it for special events together. So we both are the same scent because it's masculine and feminine. So that was really cool. And Ez is known for that. Actually, I love you too. She missed me clearly, even though she doesn't want to admit it. And Kit, get up here. Kit. And then when we went to Saint-Jean, we ate at a really good restaurant we got pizza. We got a Niçoise salad, which I was considering getting a Niçoise salad for the episode today because I love a Niçoise salad. Sorry, I'm holding my phone, so it's very hard for me to cut. So I'm just trying to like get these pieces out to give me life. Okay. I love ham and crepe. We eat so much fucking cheese in France. I would say that's like the number one food item I ate too much of in France. Of course, you like gotta let yourself live and enjoy, but we had pizza a lot. We had the cheese a lot. And it was just really, really nice. So I definitely recommend checking out those two smaller towns. Saint-Jean also is a great place for swimming. The water was just so blue there. So that was really cool. Finally, let's get into Italy before I wrap up this episode and stuff this crepe in my mouth because we did, if you're in the south of France, you can literally explore the Italian Riviera, which is right next door, literally 10-minute drive and you're in Italy. And we went to Ventimiglia where I noticed a lot of color around Ventimiglia from these like boats on the beach to just the really pretty, honestly, they have the same like colored house vibe as they do in Mentone with some more like teals and blues mixed in, I would say some cooler tones mixed in. And I was just noticing the color everywhere there. Ventimiglia was not quite as popping and happening as San Remo, which was the other place we went to where we went to get the food, the pizza, the food, the za. We went to this place called Sinesse, which I highly recommend in San Remo for the pizza. We got incredible food. I wore this AYR striped sundress with my Bottega. I'm telling you, trusty Bottega, like I am telling you, a floral clip, my Chow earrings from Bubble Bar, because how could I not? They're like safety pin earrings. They're huge. They say Chow. And my Jonak sandals just for walking around and exploring. We saw so much cool shit in Italy. We saw the casino and San Remo, and we saw, again, like I said, lots of pops of color. It was it was one of our last days, and I just really enjoyed it. It was like a great come down, I would say, from the trip. And the very last day, we just like spent time on the beach in Mentone, enjoying each other, celebrating, and we had a romantic dinner at Casarella, which was the restaurant right near where we got engaged. We actually took some pictures in front of it. I forgot to say this before, but Nick pivoted. He actually wasn't going to propose on the first day of France. He was going to propose the second day, but it was supposed to rain. And so he talked to the photographer and they were like, let's do it the first day. The rain just looks too bad. And because of that, he had to change our restaurant reservation. So we ended up eating at Casarella the last night of France. And we got a bottle of champagne to celebrate the trip and how special it was. And when we got home, we got the best engagement gift ever from my family. My family was here watching the cats for a little while, my mom and my dad. And with Megan, producer Megan and Rachel, they got this really cool blanket that says Nick and Sarah with Nick and me. And it looks just like us. And Nick is an alien and I'm marrying an alien. And that's that. Yeah. And I also like how I set it up on the dinner for shoes set. It says Nick and Sarah. And I just like folded that part over and I'm going to put it right here. But today is about Snipping Turtle on set and about our new olive branch runner and about my crepe and about my French iced latte and about all the things I wore for my engagement in France. On that note, obviously there's going to be so much to come when it comes to planning my wedding, talking about wedding dress shopping. I'm overwhelmed just thinking about it right now, but we will do more episodes on it. I hope you liked learning about my engagement ring, learning about the looks that I wore in France surrounding the engagement ring, and learning about Snipping Turtle. I hope you use the code DFS20, which is valid through the end of June. I love you. Thanks for getting engaged with me and talking about my ring. Nick did do a really good job. I will see you next time. We're going to have a complete shift for next week's episode. Okay, love you guys. Bye. Nick, are you going? Just say bye to me before you go. Yeah. Is that my food? Yeah. Sweet. And what inspired me. Bye. Bye, I love you. What the puff skirt, why can't I think of the word? Not like the diaper trend, but utensils.